Ohio's next governor, Vivek Ramaswamy. Are we headed towards a dangerous place in this country?
We're heading to a dangerous place because crime is still not abated in the cities. And the dirty little secret, Jesse, is that the overwhelming majority of crime in our cities is actually committed by a really, really, really small number of people.
Right.
Take even Columbus, Ohio, where I live, city of over 1 million people. It was a Democrat mayor's study who said that less than 500 people were committing over 50% of the crime. And then get this, if you look at the locations where they're committed, over 50% of crimes are committed in less than 5% of the locations in a city. So this isn't rocket science. We need precision policing, get the actual job done. All right, I'm from a state that put a man on the moon. We can figure out how to actually end this problem. But the reality is it is a political problem for this fringe of the Democratic Party that has the rest of their party in a chokehold, where a lot of these Democrat mayors might privately agree with you and I. I've talked to many of them, and they do. But they can't do it because they're beholden to a political base that in some ways is addicted to keeping these criminals off the street. You want to solve the problem, put either of them in a psychiatric institution or in prison where they belong. People would say, how could you find them in a city of 1 million people? The answer is they make it really easy because they are repeatedly committing crimes. So this isn't complicated. It's common sense, but it comes down to having the spine to actually see it through. And that's what we need.
Do you believe the governor of Oregon knows there's a problem and she's just lying about it because she's afraid of getting booted out of office by her crazy base?
So I don't know her. I can't speak on behalf of her, but if I had to guess, a lot of these people are sweeping it under the rug just because they would rather not anger their own political base. It's the number one rule in politics, especially for the left. Don't anger the loudest component of your base. And the loudest component of their base still wants to defund the police, still believes in actually allowing for the kind of so-called violent crime, so-called freedoms that allow for violent crime.
So they're holding us hostage because they're being held hostage.
Well, that's what I would say from a political perspective. They are being held hostage by a small fringe of their political base.
Well, they're cowards.
Of course. But the reality is this is part of our national identity. We're a country on God's green earth where you can go into your city, have a good evening without fear of looking over your shoulder for being beaten down, for being mugged, or God forbid, being killed in cold blood, as is happening in so many of our cities. This should not be a partisan issue. End the violent crime, end the culture of violence. It's not about right versus left. It is about right versus wrong. And if we have the courage to stand for that in a respectful, civil, but firm way, I think 80+% of the American people are with us, and I think that's going to bode well for how we do next year.
When you hear some of the politicians say fascist, say Gestapo, how do you feel about that?
It feels like your ears have been numb to hearing these accusations for years. Instead, let's actually talk about the substance. I'd rather them talk about affordability than talk about fascism. Let's talk about how we bring prices down. Let's talk about how we give kids in those inner cities a better education, get them back into school instead of on the streets with chronic absenteeism to bring down crime and bring up educational achievement. Let's talk about addressing the actual failures that are holding the very so-called members of their political base back. We're the people who want to empower them. That's what I want them talking about, not made up allegations of fascism or whatever.
So when they lob fascism around, is that a dodge? Because they can't debate the real issues, the issues that they're losing on?
Of course it is. I think it's the same thing you saw 5 years ago. They would blow woke smoke to avoid talking about the real issues.
Woke smoke.
Now it's lodging allegations of fascism or whatever. But it's up to us to say we don't need to lower ourselves to their standard. It's up to us to talk about how we're actually going to lift people up through education, economic growth, combating urban crime. If we do that, we will secure majorities lasting around this vision of common sense. That's who we are as Americans. It's what we stand for.
I think they were getting a little high off that woke smoke.
I think so for many years to come, probably.
All right. Good luck in Ohio.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vivek. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.